Hi, everyone. Welcome to this I call the raw and very personal blog or vlog for me. I'm a bit new on this YouTube, so please bear with me. Why am I recording this? I just think there is a lot of lessons from my life that I'd like to share. I think my lessons might inspire some women. I think this could be a start of a healing process for me and also a start of creating a momentum, inspiring more women to do what I've done. And this vlog, sorry, this vlog is not just for women. It is really for people going through their careers. It's people who perhaps put in a lot of effort in their career, perhaps have had many changes in their careers, have had to deal with challenging situations. So I'd love to start from the beginning. I was born in India, in Delhi, in late 70s. And so currently I'm in my late 40s. And, I've had so many trials and tribulations in my life, so many challenges. So, firstly, let's start with career. And really, that is the hallmark of my chat today. So I actually wanted to be an actress, believe it or not. I was in the Air Force School, Subroto Park in Delhi. And very quickly, I got a name for myself as a singer. And I used to love Madonna songs, and I'd be called Little Madonna. Anyways, forget about the schooling part. I did well at school for some reason. I just was good at academics. I think I had a curious mind. I loved learning. I would come regularly, maybe first, second, third in my class every year. So I did pretty well at school and I really enjoyed it. And to be honest, a lot of Indian kids do, right? It is in our culture to go to school to get a good education because that is how you get through a tough life. So, coming into my teen years, I'm wanting to be an actress, and I took up Indian classical dancing. I was on the Indian TV, I think, when I was about 10. I really love Kathak dance. I started to get some sort of indication of some Bollywood roles coming my way. However, my mom, God bless her, who's no longer alive, she she kind of intervened and she said, no, you're going to get an education first. You can always do acting later. You can always do singing, dancing, whatever arts you want to pursue later. But you must get an education. A woman must get an education to succeed in this world. I mean, at the time, I remember being very rebellious and going, what? Like, I just want to get married, have babies. I just want to be an actress. What? Anyhow, I thank my mom every day today. She was right. In my life, it has proved to be very right. Education has served me very well. If I can consider the biggest asset that I have, besides my mom, um, is my education. The degrees I've done, the qualifications I've earned, it's helped me get to where I am today. If you had asked me even 10, 20 years ago, would I be here today? I don't think I could have ever imagined this life I've created, with the way I want to work, to have work appreciation, to be able to work from home, to be able to contribute, to be able to empower people, and all with education. So I thank my mom for pushing me this way. So, a lot of people ask me, what made you become a dentist? What made you choose dentistry? I'll be really raw and honest, as I always am. I didn't choose it, actually. My mom chose it for me. and to be honest, a lot of Indian people would relate. Those who grow up in India would relate to this. My mom chose, I followed her, I trusted her, I loved her. And I believe that would be the right thing. I remember first year dentistry, hating it. I remember calling her from my boarding school and saying, I hate this. I just want to quit. Like, what are you making me do? Funnily, my first year in dentistry, I came first in my class of 100. And I had no idea when I saw my results at the end of first year of Bachelor of Dental Surgery, BDS. And I had started my BDS in India, but I completed it in Sydney, Australia. Anyways, so we're talking about me coming first. And I call my mom and I say, I don't know how it happened, but look, I was good at studying. I did enjoy it. So, I never was results oriented, but when you got results, I was like, oh, wow, I came first. I must have done something right. Anyhow, so my mom said, look, you've done so well. Don't quit. Give it another year. I promise you, if after year 2, you don't love it, we will swap, let's find another career for you. And second year goes, I still hate it, and I come first again. What? Anyways, this is not about boasting, right? I didn't keep that up, by the way. Third year, I didn't. But anyways, it's not about boasting. It's about my mom guiding me. So obviously something was working. I was right. And my mom said, keep going on. Now, during my dentistry, my mom did pass away, which was very, very difficult. And also we had a big move to Australia. So moving from India in the middle of your college to Australia, new culture, new friends, new environment, kind of losing about a year of your life, because by the time the transition happens and you get into Sydney University, it was a year lost of my life. Anyhow, it was a very difficult time. So we won't go over that. Very, very difficult time. Not only losing a parent, but also losing your friends, changing countries. It wasn't actually, it wasn't nice. Anyways, it's a hardship we all have to go through in life. I remember when I got into Sydney Uni, I was a little bit, traumatized from what had happened in my personal life. Yet I managed to pass my dental degree, and not just manage, I did quite well, and I became a dentist in 2001. I was a general dentist for about 9 years. I worked in several private practices across several states in Australia. I just loved it. I just wanted to get better at it. I'm one of those who just has to get good at things. So I just enjoyed it. I'd forgotten my actress dream, by the way. So I enjoyed it. I just remember developing skills. I remember going to so many different CPD programs. I remember I'll be honest, I did Mahoney's program. Back then it was 1 year, not 3 years, and it wasn't as costly. I did, and to be honest, I didn't feel confident, after all these courses. I had mentors and dentists who were my bosses, who kind of did orthodontics, who did endodontics, who did advanced restorative. I did heaps of courses. I did a skip through it course, I remember, some Canadian orthodontist course for general dentists. I was really lost. I was just looking for what I really want to excel at. And it was really about 8 or 9 years. And, to be honest, I had huge debts from dentistry that I'm paying off. I wanted to live life a bit. I wanted to travel. But around 2010, and this is about 9 years of being a general dentist, you start to get good at it. If you're a general dentist, you would know. After 4 or 5 years, you develop some really good patient management skills, really good restorative skills. I started to do really excellence in my dentistry and really enjoying it. And then I just felt, hey, I'm a little bit bored. One of those people that you get the hang of things, you do well in them, and then you're doing it repeatedly again and again. And it's kind of all nice, but I was like, what's more? What's more? I need to do something more. So I thought, hey, I do like studying. And none of these things, a lot of doors in my life didn't open out of me consciously researching and choosing, I just opened a door. I just met a few people who were doing PhD at the time at Sydney University, and I just got a bit motivated to do a bit of studying, and they would do a lot of research. And I thought, hey, I want to know a little bit about clinical research. So I enrolled in the Masters of Clinical Epidemiology in Sydney University. It was part-time. I think it was on campus. It wasn't online. It was on campus at the time in 2010. So I started it part-time. I did it over 2 years. And I just started with subject one. And this is what I love about Australian education. You know, I find Australian literacy rate is so low. But what people don't understand is that when you are an Australian citizen and you are going to an Australian program, you have about 5 weeks or so. You can put it on HEX. You have about 5 weeks or so to like test the waters, test the subject. If you don't like it, you can drop out, you can change for no penalty. So I kind of took that approach. I said, hey, just enroll. Let's try a couple of subjects, see if I like it. And if I don't like it, I can just quit, right? In 5 weeks, or even if I don't quit, I just do one subject. I don't have to get the diploma or degree or whatever that is. So I always go with that small step, minimal approach. And I think it serves me well because it's a bite-sized piece I've just taken. It's not like, whew, I've enrolled in a big diploma. So anyways, I start with that intention. And I really loved my first subject. I think it was about meta-analysis. It was about systematic reviews. I think my second subject was genetic epidemiology, which I found absolutely fascinating. And so I really, really liked it. And I thought, oh, let me just continue. And next thing, I had the degree of Master's in Science in Clinical Epidemiology. And as a result of that degree, I had a mentor who guided me for my very first publication. I think it was 2011 or 12. It got published in one of the top journals in dentistry. It was a systematic review and meta-analysis on articaine as a local anesthetic versus lignocaine. And at the time, there was nothing like it. So I know that it's still a very highly cited paper, by the way. So I kind of went into that realm. I enjoyed it. Getting your first publication, you know, it was just absolutely like, what an achievement. My name is on a paper, and that paper will be cited for years to come. And it's a top quality paper in one of the top journals. It was really like, wow. And, you know, when I just kind of, it piqued my interest into education. And then I thought, to be honest, I thought, what do I, you know, I started to get a bit bored of dentistry because you're doing the same things again and again. And yes, every patient's different. And I love my patients that I've treated, and I'm very, you know, I did a very good job, and I think I managed as much as well as I could. I felt like there was more, so I decided to pursue specialist training. Now that's little bit late in my life. I'm talking mid like 30s. I'm talking 32, 33. I'm starting to pique interest into a specialty. And with specialty, well, deep down, since the days of dentistry, if there's anything I liked in dentistry, and as you know, my first and second year, I didn't like it, was orthodontics. I absolutely loved orthodontics. And I'll be very honest, is because I loved children. I loved treating children. I loved teenagers. I connected with that age group. So I decided to pursue orthodontics. My first year, I just applied to one university. I didn't get in. I was a bit heartbroken. And then I continue on. You know, I was even more determined. I was like, damn, I'm going to get in. How did I not get in? So the second year, I go crazy. I apply everywhere. I'm ready to go overseas. I didn't care. This is what I was going to do. I get in my second year in Adelaide University. And absolutely, I think it was a godsend, because I don't think I would have handled any other university. I had a wonderful professor, Professor Wayne Sampson, who really coached and mentored and guided me and fostered my personality of spontaneous ideas and passion. And I think he was a very good professor. He knew how to handle my energy. And so I was gung-ho, being given a chance after not being given a chance. I took this very seriously. I absolutely loved studying orthodontics. It was a little bit of a timeout from dentistry too, actually, and absolutely loved it. I loved researching articles. I already had a Master's of Science under my belt. And by the way, I'd already worked as a dentist with an orthodontist. That also helped influence my decision. So clinically, I had a lot of skills already, and I just flourished. I thrived. I remember being 7 a.m. at university every day and not leaving, and actually thriving and loving it. And what I do think, though, it didn't prepare me for the reality. It didn't prepare me for the reality of getting out there and being an orthodontist. It prepared me really well, theoretically, and possibly skill wise. We hardly did aligners back then, it was all braces, but prepared me in really good foundations. And I really thank Adelaide University for that opportunity and what they've given me. I think it was absolute foundational knowledge that unfortunately other universities sometimes fail to give. Anyhow, I become an orthodontist, and I'm, as usual, like busting with ideas. I start my first job, very disgruntled and unhappy. I see some shocking stuff out there. And, I see orthos doing really well. I see orthos not doing well. I see new graduates struggling to even get a full-time job. And that was certainly my situation as well. And Sydney's saturated. And anyways, with a little bit of unhappiness, an opportunity fell my way where somebody had just started a brand new orthodontic practice and literally sold it to me within 6 months. It was a great opportunity. It was a great opportunity financially as well. It wasn't that expensive. The fit out was done. Everything was done. I just literally walked in. So again, an opportunity knocked, and I took it. I opened the door and I took it. And it was the start of a fascinating 10 years of orthodontic practice of my own. And I saw it like a baby of mine. I grew it, and I really, did my best, absolute best every day. I was breathing, dreaming of just giving it my all, my best for my patients. At the end of the day, patients are, or have been, and are always at the heart of what I do. I see every patient like my family. I see, a child coming to my door, like as if, what would I do if it was my child? What would I do if this was my father or this was my family? So I've often, really tried to understand my patients' concerns in really deep manner and tried to really be compassionate. Growing the practice was fun. It was really fun, but also a big, big, big source of burnout. When you're a solo practitioner, you often forget the challenges of being a solo practitioner. You are everything. You are responsible for all the overheads. You're responsible for the training. You're responsible for complaint management. You're responsible for treatments of the patient. You're responsible for making sure you've got all the medical legal obligations covered. It is a steep learning curve. And I must say, I was disappointed with some of our societies, because at the time, when we're talking 2013, I graduated from orthodontics in Adelaide. We didn't have too much help, guidance, mentorship from any of the societies. In fact, it was more like, don't do this and don't do this and don't do this and don't threaten your competitors and your local orthodontist. It was a lot of don't do. So it didn't suit me. To be very honest, I don't live by rule books like that constrict you, and I'm not a sheep. I've never been a sheep. So I just, I felt it was not very helpful, but anyways, this is how it is. And at the time, I didn't know any better. We didn't have ChatGPT. We didn't have like the smartphone technology we have today. And I basically just dribbled and dabbled and just learned the hard way, and a lot of hard ways. If anyone started a solo practice out there, they know what I'm talking about. It is like you forget about your life. In all this time, I did forget about my life. I did forget about my health, my stress levels. Do I want to have a child? That wasn't even the equation. That wasn't even like a question for me. It wasn't going to happen. I didn't have time for boyfriends or partners or possibly even marriage. I was growing this business because I had debts to pay. And I think sometimes I do find patients sometimes don't appreciate the hard work a dentist or orthodontist does in giving them that absolute value. I think sometimes there are a lot more demands from patients, especially in Sydney. I feel there is a lot more demand than general practitioners. And I also feel it could be related to women. But those are like other topics. They are my absolute personal experiences. That doesn't mean that you have gone through this. It was my experience. And it's my sensitivities and my perception. So I don't want you to think that this is how it is. But, anyways, I did enjoy it. When I look back, I did enjoy it. And COVID hit. And COVID wasn't good for business. As we all know, how difficult it was to retain our staff, to retain staff motivation, to be able to manage our patients. It was very difficult. However, luckily, I was doing a lot of aligners and virtual orthodontics and always ahead of the game. I was a pioneer in that technology. So I was able to transition to a virtual remote orthodontist very fast. And I was really proud of it because I was able to manage a lot of patients. I was doing consultations virtually. I was managing my patients. I was troubleshooting. I was posting them their Invisalign trays. I was able to do so many things during pandemic. And that was fantastic. And, that just showed me how the power of virtual orthodontics and adopting technologies, it was powerful. We were probably one of the very few practices so virtual and so digital that we actually managed to almost have full working conditions without being in the clinic. So it was fantastic. My staff were working all remotely. And then, I think with COVID just, almost over in 2021, and here we have a lockdown again, and all of these just really combined to the point that I was also in my mid 40s going through health issues that, I think, and it's very hard for me to admit this, but I'm admitting this today. It's, I think I had a burnout. I actually think I was mentally exhausted. My health was deteriorating. I was being diagnosed with some chronic illnesses, lifestyle diseases, as we know. And it wasn't looking good for me. I finally met my now husband. We're thinking of children. I'm in my late 40s. I'm managing everything. And, something had to give. On top of that, by the way, I was also lecturing. And in the middle of all of this, 10 years ago, from 2016, I established The Boss, which is a CPD program, lecturing program, because I was so passionate about spreading the message. I was so passionate about helping dentists deliver fantastic orthodontics in their practices, predictably, safely, making that patient happy. I'd learned so many things along the way in my last 10 years. I just wanted to share them. And we won't go into some of the backlash from my ventures, from my own industry, but I wanted to share them. And in today's day, I'll be honest, it is very accepted. What I do, teaching dentists, mentoring them, coaching them is I think quite a accepted thing in our industry. So all along, we have training programs, event management. I have a full-fledged practice. I'm establishing new technologies. I'm growing. I have 2 branches. Something had to give. And my education venture, to be absolutely honest, I sat down with my husband over a couple of years. It was not an easy decision. And decided, look, what makes me happy? And what I felt made me really happy was teaching. Teaching was so rewarding. Boss, my diploma, my CPD was so rewarding. I also like standing out of the sheep a little bit. I like that. I like to be the first one to do something and show the way. And I think it wasn't an ego thing. It was more like, I know I was doing the right thing. I know my heart was in the right place. You just didn't see it. And I see it, and I'm the one reaping the benefits. So what Boss allowed me to do was have work-life balance. I was able to transition from face-to-face courses to online. Technology helped a lot. I mean, so much technology has changed. I was able to go online. I was a visionary. 2019, I already had a full-fledged online diploma program in orthodontics for dentists. I mean, back then, many people didn't have it. And 2020 hit, and we're enrolling hundreds of dentists globally. We grew at a huge pace, but quality was important to me. So the quality meaning that one-to-one connection with my students who are dentists, one-to-one mentoring of their cases was so important. And there was no way I was going to delegate that. I see that as the most important thing I do. Besides, some knowledge lectures, because they're easy, knowledge lectures you can put online. So that was absolutely amazing. And then over the last 9 years, teaching dentists just showed me what a wonderful job they're doing, how I took them from 0 to 10, how their patients were getting great results, how happy they were in their practices, and all with aligners and technologies. And, I showed them some way of stimulating their dental career. Because believe it or not, if I went through a bit of boredom in my dentistry after 9 or 10 years when I was a general dentist, I'm sure others are going through it as well. Then there is the patient management part that over time just burdens, and it's painful. It's painful. It's hard. It's patients might not understand, but it's a little bit hard on us as dentists and orthodontists. And so being kind to your treating practitioner is absolutely important. And really, really, we'd be grateful for that. We'd do a better job if you were like that. And I'm not saying all patients are like that, but there are those. And then you just get a burnout, and you just, you go, what am I doing this for? I'm destroying my health. I know I'm doing a good job for my patients. Perhaps I'm not being perceived like that. I'm struggling as a solo practitioner. I'm struggling with my health. I'm a woman. I want to have children. I want to have a marriage. And I just want to have the best life forward for me. So what I had to give was my dental practice. So at the age of 45, after 10 years of building it, and I must say I'm so proud of what I did. I built it beautifully with the most beautiful interiors, a great client base, a fantastic high performance team, systems and protocols I developed, which no one gave me, by the way, or anyone shared. I developed them, worked really hard, almost 80 hours a week to build this practice from literally 0 patients from scratch to maybe seeing 400, 500, 600 patients a year all by myself. And it was fantastic. It was really, really amazing. And we're talking 400 or 500 new patients, possibly 200 to 300 starts in orthodontic, and having a fantastic team. I could delegate literally 95% of my work. I learned to get really good at aligners. I was doing complex cases, transpositions, impacted canines, extractions, and doing them really well. So, and on top of that, my medical legal systems, my protocols, very slick. So I'm very proud of what I achieved. So it was a shame at the age of 45 to say, you know what, something's got to give. What do I love more? I can't do it all. And that is the biggest lesson for me that I've learned, that I can't do it all. And it's okay to accept that. I don't think I've ever accepted that, because I was able to do it all. I did everything. I've done 4 degrees. And by the way, I did an MBA in the middle of all of that, in the middle of, in 2000, I can't remember the date, possibly 2018, 19. I did an MBA actually on top of that. So, and I did it full time in 1 year. We won't go into the MBA degree. It was a great experience in some way, but it didn't teach me a lot, but it kind of taught me a bit. So I was a bit 50-50. I think I knew business already without doing an MBA. It was a bit of a waste of a time in some regards. Anyhow, so I did an MBA. I did a Cert 4 as well. So I've done a BDS now. I've done a Master's of Science in Clinical Research. I've done an orthodontic specialty in Adelaide, and I've done an MBA, and I've done a Cert 4 in training and education. Whew. Something had to give. You cannot do it all. And after sitting down with my husband, and not that he ever asked me to do this, I just wanted to finally have a life with a family. I wanted to have health. I wanted to have time with him. And what had to give was managing my practice, having my own practice, because I loved Boss. My dentist loved me, and they still do. I love teaching. I love mentoring. You know, with just mentoring one dentist, I can mentor hundreds of cases virtually, and I can help hundreds more patients than I could ever in my local business, in my local clinical practice. So I felt I had a bigger reach. I had more expansion to say. With work-life balance, with automations and online technology, with appreciation, and with absolute beautiful morals and ethics in my heart to do absolute best for every patient that a dentist approaches me for, to coach them. And also to build and also to give hope to dentists. What I found is over time, we've had more women dentists enroll in our program than men, which is interesting. And the amount of women who message me on almost a daily basis as how much it's transformed their careers, how much Boss has brought them a little bit of hope in dentistry, because they were also getting a bit drab, a bit drained, a bit burnt out. And this just gives them a chance, a renewed learning, a renewed technique. It has really helped many people. So I feel like this is my path forward. And having sold my clinical, my own practice, I feel absolutely the happiest I've ever been. Unfortunately, children are not an option for me right now because I'm getting a bit older. I'm almost 48. And medically, it's not wise for me to do it anymore, according to my specialist, and because of a lot of other health factors. But that's okay. I'm okay with that. I tried everything. It didn't work out. And my husband and I are happy, and that's what matters. And so I want to pursue teaching. I want to continue this teaching. And did I ever think, even when I was a teenager, or when I was in my 20s, or even when I was doing dentistry, that I'd be living a very happy life with a loving partner, with a beautiful work-life balance, with health on my side, with literally no stress, and still that energy, passion, and enthusiasm, and a lot of appreciation. I don't think I ever dreamt of this life. I thought one day everybody would like one day to be this, but it just happened for me really naturally. And if I think how it happened, I think I just continued to open doors. Whenever a door opened, I walked in. And I think possibly if I really wanted to be the most inspiring here for anyone watching and enjoying this video, is walk in those doors, make mistakes. You don't know how many times I've fallen. Make mistakes, walk in that door. I don't think there's a right or wrong at times. I think it's a matter of you learning. So what works for you might be different to what works for me. For me, opening a door was what worked for me. I didn't know that I would one day have an Australian accredited college, that I would have online diploma, that I would have a great mid-40 lifestyle. I didn't know any of this. And I just door after door after door opened. And every time it opened, yes, there's always that trepidation, but I just went, let's walk in, let's see. You know what? Worst scenario, I'm going to fail. Worst scenario, I'm going to waste money and time. Worst scenario, right? That's the worst scenario. Ain't going to kill you. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. And it's, it's really, really been beneficial. I just want to also add one more tip that I think helped me a lot in life, and that is feedback. I never stop asking someone how I can do better. So when it came to my clinical practice, when it came to my boss educational programs, anything I've done in life, I'm very curious. So I think curiosity is something that's helped me. And I'm curious. When I do something, I say, give me feedback. What was it that you liked about this? Tell me one thing you loved of the service I've delivered for you. What is the thing that I can improve on? And this slow feedback over time shaped my career, shaped my direction. And now in my mid 40s, being a teacher for over 10 years and absolutely loving it. Absolutely. It's the best career for me. I look back to my childhood and I see that since I was a child, I was like a teacher. I remember in India, you have servants, and a lot of servants are illiterate. They can't read or write English or Hindi. And I remember coming back from school and I had a servant who was just a teenager. He's a village boy, homeless, and we took him in our house. And every afternoon I'd teach him. I'd teach him A, B, C, D. You know, I would teach him alphabets. I would teach him things to the point he ended up going to school. And to the point he passed year 10 while he was working for us in our home. It was just, you know, and my mother always guided me with education. So I just look back and I just even have some photos where I'm sitting down as a little kid and I'm teaching and I'm pointing fingers at the books and I'm teaching. So when I go back, I go, actually, this was innate in me. I felt I was always a teacher. I felt I was always somebody who wanted to share knowledge. So it was kind of a part of me and my personality growing up. And I felt I had a lot to give. And the more I give, the happier I feel. The more I give, the more I help people, the more I help build careers, help patients at the end of the line who are being treated by the dentist. You know, by giving better education, more comprehensive education, by leading them, by showing them my expertise and skill, by teaching them what I've learned, by helping them navigate pitfalls. It has been a fantastic career for me, because I think that has always been a part of me. But doors opened and led me here. So I find life is funny. Life will take you where you're meant to be. And I'm one of those believers, good deeds bring good karma. So if I could leave you with a note of a very raw and personal story of my life, is keep doing good work, keep helping people, stand your ground, don't be a sheep, stay strong, open the doors. It's okay, open the door, walk in. But please know that this must work for you. What worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Find your way. Or just let the universe find it for you, and you just be curious. And curiosity, I think, is the start of wonderful things. I look forward to my next episode in The Boss Life by Dr. V. This was an absolute background to my story, as short as I could make it, without the hardships, controversies, negativities, showing you my highs and lows in the most summarized form. And I really hope you enjoyed it. And I hope it inspires women out there. I hope it inspires men out there. I hope it inspires somebody who wants to be a dentist, as somebody who wants to be an orthodontist, somebody who wants to be a dental specialist, a hygienist, somebody who doesn't want to choose dentistry at all. If this video just highlighted to you that, hey, that's not for you, that is absolutely cool. And I'm glad I could be of service. So have a wonderful day, guys. I just want to say a little thank you to Sydney, Australia, my home. I absolutely love living here. And thank you for watching. Bye.